Hi folks, welcome to the Prepared Homestead. This is Travis. Thank you all for stopping by to watch another hot, muggy day. It's probably one of the last hot, muggy days we're going to have for a while. In fact, just to the northwest of us, there's some storms moving in. Might get some of that here. I was just looking just a few moments ago and it's kind of iffy. I think we may not, but it's possible. But we certainly could use it, and I think tomorrow we're also going to get a much better chance tomorrow of getting some rain and probably a little thunderstorms. Helps cool us off, get the moisture out of the air, and start the process of fall. But I still think we've got some hot weather in store for us before it's full fall yet. Anyways, getting beyond the weather report that about half of you don't care about. I've talked about this a little bit this morning's video, and I have touched on it ever so often, and I get questions of, well, what's really going on? Like, what is their purpose to doing this? Why are they doing this? Is it just about politics? Is it just about getting their party in? Is it just about money? Is it just about power? They just have some kind of ego trip. All these questions and more pop up. And some of you have figured it out. Some of you figured it out a long time ago also. But I want to start to get into it. Now, we're not going to go too deep, but I want to get into it a little bit. And I know that this is probably not going to be a very popular video. If I put some kind of sensational title, Iran is bombing Israel, or, Russia just nuked Ukraine, or, something like that, it might get a good showing, but this one probably won't, and that's okay. I'm going to read to you an email that was sent to me. Yes, I do read my emails most of the time. I don't read them all. I can't. There's just too many. But I do read them as often as I can, and occasionally will respond. I wish I could respond to every one of them. I wish I could talk to every one of you that want to talk, but I just can't. It's just too many. I would get nothing done and still not get it all caught up. But I do want to read this email, and for the person that sent me this email, don't worry, I'm not going to give any information away so that anyone can figure out who you are. Your identity will be safe with me. But this email, this guy, I don't know him. I don't know his beliefs. He kind of talks about it. Maybe it's similar to me. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But the words that he said in this email really just jumped out at me. And he put it into words that it makes sense. And this is, when I read this, I'd considered just kind of reading that and then having a video talking kind of in my own words, which I will do when I get done with this. But I thought I can't recreate what he said in my own words. What he said is just it's good. And I want to read this to you. It's a 2-page email. It's okay. Just sit back. I mean, I know it's not flashy, and it's not, your ADD will be okay for a minute or two. Starts off, "Hello, Travis. In case that you read this, I am very aware of how busy you are. I'm compelled to write to you a brief message. This nagging internal voice is pushing me. And it's like Noah, who knew the floods were coming. It's just like that. Spiritually, in an internal sense, I am not dissimilar to yourself. The similarities which must be there simply because of the stance we take, because of who we must be and our convictions. The entity masquerading, aka as government, here in Canada, has chosen to do things differently than where you are in America. The switch replacement began more than a decade ago, and gradually. I live in Ground Zero, Southern Ontario, and so have witnessed the full effect. It has been so far about business and jobs. Businesses have taken full advantage of having unlimited supply of labor and resources. The educational system has made it into a business. What I'm getting at is that it's all part of the same plan. All countries bringing about the execution of a single plan. But there won't be a violence here. Within 100 years, Canada will be exactly as it needs to be to fit into their vision. But this leads me to why I'm writing to you now. There are 2 modalities which people can prescribe to. Spiritual, which is real and binds all. Truth is known, and everything else which acts to unbind all until conscious experience is dreamlike and wholly subjective. Truth, then, apparently has many versions. And now, human perception has been manipulated. It's astonishing. The effect is that the soul has become alien, and history has repeatedly shown us that the soul is the source of power and strength. Wisdom. Our so-called leaders who covet power above all else are the weakest among us. No wisdom can exist, only darkness within their minds. It's not complicated. One who knows themselves lacks nothing. Lack, or the concept of it, becomes alien. There can be no wars between people who lack nothing. One loves, he or she, the children of God loves. The binding force, the dark con of man seems to have been to break this unbreakable bond. Only in some sort of collective dream can it happen. One must choose to lose themselves to slumber in order to dream. It's as if people have nothing to hold on to. You mentioned Jesus. This can't be taught, just as the meaning of love cannot be taught. It's a direct experience and feeling. We feel a calling to awaken others who have lost relationships to themselves. It is a brotherhood in every respect, a longing to be brought back into wholeness. This is the nature of love and its eternal purpose. So I work in a factory. I cannot really get too deeply into it in an email, but I have eyes to see. I guess what I will say is that when a mind has no connection to the soul, the resulting weakness allows something to take advantage. Technology has played a role, mind control. I don't have a cell phone, for example. People try giving me their old ones. I understand that they have their uses, but I will tell you, Travis, when I'm sitting in the factory's cafeteria break room, everyone's mind is tethered to that little screen. I can feel their brainwave patterns slip into a deep trance-like state. They have no understanding of what is happening. They are being disconnected from reality. Their brain activity being altered so that they cannot access the higher functioning of their own brains. The ability to think and reason is gone. Language plays a part. The word, attempts made to invert all of it. It's like what people read and look at on their phones is all backwards and upside down. Programming human perception and to lull people into a slumber, a dream. There's not much to say, just that I have known to avoid it all. The medical interventions, the technology, they are all addicts who prescribe to it, craving things which have no basis in reality. They have no way of understanding. The Bible, for example, they can no longer receive the message. This is a complete breakdown. They can see words, but their minds can no longer extract meaning from them. That has been done on purpose. So there is something behind this decline, this breaking of man as a perceiver of truth and a possessor of wisdom. The disappearance of self-knowledge, of knowing him. And these two things directly relate. It's surreal to imagine something working towards causing this, but no one around me seems to be in control of their minds. Governance is simply not applicable. And so importantly, discernment, none. The discernment part is huge, as you perfectly know. Cycles, I guess. We're definitely slipping into a dark age of consciousness. You're a beacon of light. You must be who you are. I will be who I am also. So, I mean, you can say what you want, but I think there's a lot of truth in there. And that is really explained in a lot of ways of how I've been feeling for a very long time, for years now, and maybe not been able to totally put it into words. This thing that we're watching, this system, this beast system, which is really what it is AI, is X, is YouTube, is the digital, is that the beast system? It may not be the beast system, but it is leading to that. It is leading to this system to separate us from our Creator. That is the purpose of this. While individuals, even elite leaders, global leaders, individuals, they may be looking at what they're doing as a power grab or as to gain wealth or even to help the environment. But in the end, the system as a whole has been developed and is being run to separate us from our soul, to shut our minds down, to weaken our bodies. This is really the overall plan. I believe it's being done to subdue our spiritual connection to the Father, because Satan knows where he's ending up. He knows the end of the story. He knows it better than you and I do. He knows he can't change that. But he knows that if he tries really hard, he can take as many of us with him as he can. And that is the spiritual warfare that we're seeing. That's why I tell you all the time, everything that you're seeing happening, the politics, the stuff in the news, in the end, it's all physical manifestations of spiritual warfare that's happening. This spiritual warfare that's trying to separate us from the Almighty. I believe fully that's what all the pokey pokes, the mRNA, the disease and ridden garbage that people put in their bodies and call it food, the garbage that they watch on TV and in their phones and in movies and listen to in the music, the garbage that we hear from politicians, from the news media, and from our neighbors, the garbage that's being taught in schools and colleges, and it's being called education, but we know that it's not. All of this is being done to subdue us and to subvert the connection that we naturally have with our Creator, our DNA, that life that's breathed into us. And we're watching a nation and an entire culture, entire society, that all of Western at least, maybe even the whole world, is little by little disconnecting from that. And they're obsessed. I've joked many times on here and with people in person that, everyone laughs about a zombie apocalypse. Oh, we will absolutely see a zombie apocalypse. We are watching a zombie apocalypse happens. Will it be like in the movies and the TV shows where it's some weird virus that infects the person and they die, but now they're the undead walking around eating brains? Probably not. But we're still seeing a zombie apocalypse of people that are completely tuned out to what's happening in the world. They're tuned out to what's going on. They're tuned out to what's happening to their neighbors, to other humans. And as long as everything is okay for them, they're okay with that. They're tuned out to God's truth and to his word and to the truth and the light of Yeshua. And less people have those ears to hear it and those eyes to see it, just like he said in that article. There's less people that are even capable of comprehending that because they have that reprobate mind. This is really what we're seeing happen. Yes, it's important to watch the wars and the economy and the political games and the illegal immigration and the lascivious, disgusting stuff that's being allowed in schools and churches and to children and all this kind of thing. But we need to also see that there is a bigger picture going on here, folks. I've spoken many times about the big mural on the wall. If you've never heard me say it, you take a huge mural like you see in those big museums and stuff on the wall. If you stand right up to it, where your nose is touching the wall, how much of that mural can you see? How much could you describe if you stood right up to that mural? And every step back that you take, you can see it more and more until you get far enough back that you can view and encompass the whole picture and you understand what's going on. That is really what you and I are doing. We start off seeing that something's wrong, and we step back and step back and step back. And now we're starting to see the whole picture. We realize what the plan is. And the plan is far worse than grabbing land and water rights and food and DNA and children and politics and gold and wealth and political power. It's far worse than any of those things. Those are bad, and they most definitely are happening. But it's far worse than that. I believe fully that this plan is to separate us from the Creator. That's the battle. That's the war that's going on. And you need to be ready for that. Physically ready, yes, of course, because while it's a spiritual battle, it will affect us physically. And if our physical bodies become weak, then it weakens our spirit and we could cave in to the temptation. So you need to be physically strong. You need to be mentally strong. But most importantly, you need to be spiritually strong, because this battle is not about flesh and blood, folks. It's not. And we've been told that for eons. It's time to get ready and get your houses in order and prepare yourselves mentally, physically, and spiritually. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.